Catus Maximus here, this time with a quick review and a little comparison with the Klein 3248, 30-inch long, 7/8 inch diameter ironworker's bar, or ironworker's pry bar. I want to do a dedicated review of this bar because these are one of the pry bars that has the most different names, and so this will help clarify that a little bit, as well as being one of the most common style of actual heavy-duty pry bar. So I've reviewed a couple of pry bars now, the Harbor Freight tire levers, and then that gear wrench, that nice gear wrench extending handle, articulating head. The difference with one of these pry bars is that these are really meant for super heavy-duty work, and particularly the Klein. It is a very high quality, hardened steel, forged ends, etc. And what I mean by one of the most common as far as names, I've listed this as an ironworker's bar, which is what I know it to properly be as. However, they are also known as fit-up bars, connecting bars, adjustment bars, line-up bars, jimmy bars. As you can tell, there's a variety of different names, and if you actually search for those names, fit-up bar and jimmy bar and connecting bar, what you'll find is you'll find similar pry bars that have a large foot, and let me show you that. This would be bent at 15-degree angles, and it's for taking any kind of, really, in ironworking, when you're assembling metal or steel beams, etc., all the way through heavy equipment surface. The idea is that you use one end of it to adjust something to get it into the holes to line up, and then you also have a sharp end, so you can get, once the holes are close enough with the pry bar, then you can put the sharp end in to really get them to line up, and then you're able to actually put the fastener through. Now, the reason that these are really so heavy duty is being 7/8 inch diameter, a high grade tool steel, and only 30 inches long. When you use a pry bar like this, it feels like it is, and describing it as a solid piece of steel is a little bit misleading. Many pry bars, when you use them, especially in high force situations, you'll feel a little bit of springiness. It's a strong pry bar, but still it's a long piece of metal, and if you're adjusting a heavy piece of equipment or trying to shift around a large rock, you'll feel a little springiness. The thing with these ironworkers bars is they're overbuilt for their length, and when you're prying with this, there is no spring. It feels like it's just absolutely welded to whatever you're trying to push against. It's kind of an odd feeling. I've stood on this, and it just feels like it's just absolutely connected, meaning you just don't feel any torsion or anything like that at all. This is a pry bar that I've used cheater bars on. You could easily stand on. You and a friend and their buddy could all stand on this bar, and you would have no issues. Pinch bar might be another term that these are used by. When you're moving heavy machinery around, you might put this against the ground like a Bridgeport mill. You can get under the edge of it, lift it up some, and then twist the handle, and that's how you pinch, is you're just lifting something up super heavy and just tilting it over a little bit, and you're only lifting up a portion of the weight, not the total weight. And there are other similar bars to this. Here, let me go ahead and demonstrate. When you have these, you might have a variety of bars. I have like what is a flat crowbar. This has a fork on one end, but it's just a shorter version with a short hook on it. We have ones that I actually use anytime I'm working with rocks, and this is what you call another style of pinch bar, where it just has a more accentuated hook. Maybe this would be a 30-degree hook, and the flat's a lot shorter. You can see how the beat up this one is gotten from using it with rocks, and that's why you would always want to have a pry bars kind of for general different purposes, like if you're working with masonry, demolition, concrete demolition, etc., where you may have a basic pry bar. This is one that you may want to use, is just to have a kind of a beater for those purposes. And then, of course, what I used to use before I got the Klein was actually this. This is a crowbar, and it's held up pretty well. What I ended up doing is actually cutting off the head of the crowbar so that I just have a nice long handle pinch bar. And that's another option, one of the easiest options to come up with one of these heavy duty style pry bars, is to just get a crowbar and then go ahead and cut off the head. Although this Klein is only $50, and for $50 you're going to have an extremely hard time finding a pry bar that really operates or functions as well as this. It's just a piece of steel, but it's really the piece of steel that you expect it to perform as being indestructible. That's the easiest way to say it. Really highly recommended. You can see I've dinged up the edge some, but it's really surprising how well that sharp edge, and it is pretty sharp, has actually held up. I've had it slide off and slip off several different times, but never had any worries about it, especially when it comes to a Klein. And for $50, why not go for the more premium grade? Because if you're going to have one pry bar that you really just don't have to worry about, and can just put all the force you need to, I would definitely recommend this Klein. And so anyway, I want to do just a quick review and dedicated to these pinch bars and these ironworkers bars, and kind of showing similar pry bars and letting people know that all those different terms generally refer to a pry bar like this. And when people talk about fit-up bars, pinch bars, connecting bars, alignment bars, they are not talking about bars like these, which are crowbars. They are also not talking about wrecking bars that are like these, and we'll do a review of those. And they're definitely not talking about demolition bars, such as ones of this style here. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Catus Maximus out.